The Animal Control Act will hold a dog owner liable if the dog attacks or attempts to attack a person who is acting peaceably and is in a place where he or she is allowed to be and is injured because of the actions of the dog. The reason that the act requires that the person be in a place where they're allowed to be is to prevent, for example, a burglar who breaks into a home who is bitten by the homeowner's dog from successfully suing the homeowner for injuries. The other requirement is that the injured person not provoke the dog. So as long as the injured person is where he or she should be and is not provoking the dog, if the dog injures that person, the victim is entitled to receive compensation for his or her injuries. The victim does not have to prove that the owner is negligent. A short example will show this. If the victim and a dog owner with its dog on a leash are passing each other on the sidewalk going in opposite directions, and the dog suddenly lunges at the victim, but the dog owner, before the dog can even touch the victim, grabs the leash and prevents the dog from touching the victim. However, the victim, startled, falls and is injured. The victim can still be compensated for his or her injuries due to the actions of the dog, even though the dog owner in that instance acted appropriately. The victim has to show lack of provocation. But what is provocation? We could spend an awful lot of time talking about that, but one thing that is not provocation is the victim encounters a dog owner and his dog, and he goes to pet the dog, and the dog bites him. That going to pet a dog is not considered to be provocation. The Animal Control Act gives an expansive definition of owner. There's the classic example of the owner, the person that bought the dog and feeds it, etc. But it also includes anybody that has a right to control the dog or is harboring the dog. The examples that come to mind are, first of all, the dog owner goes on vacation and he brings the dog over to a friend's house, and the dog stays in that friend's home. While the owner is away, the dog bites the friend. Under the Animal Control Act, the owner is not allowed to recover compensation for injuries caused by the dog that he or she owns. So in that situation, the friend would not be able to recover any compensation for his injuries. It also includes anyone that has a right to control the dog. In Chicago, a lot of people hire dog walkers to take their dogs out when they're away at work. If a dog walker is bitten by the dog, he or she once again cannot receive compensation because they're considered an owner under the Animal Control Act. Dog owners are responsible for all injuries that their dogs cause, including injuries that don't involve biting. An example is if a dog jumps up on a person and they fall and are injured, even though the dog does not bite that victim is still allowed to recover compensation for the injuries he or she suffered as a result of the dog's actions. Provocation is really the only defense. And we spoke about that briefly earlier. Going to pet a dog is not provocation. An example of provocation is to go and violently pull on the tail of a dog. That will probably get you bitten, and you won't succeed in court if you sue the dog owner under those circumstances.